Good evening, everybody. My name is Sharon Gaston. I'm sorry that I missed you this evening, but I wanted to share with you a story, some highlights into my husband's illness that diet did not create, but just that life happens and you have to look for solutions. I'll spare you some of the gory details, but you get the gist of his illness, diagnosis, recovery, healing, shredding today and tomorrow. Illness. Don came home one Thursday afternoon and said he felt like he had indigestion. I asked what he had eaten, and it was not good. Waffle House, greasy special. That was foreign to his body. I didn't pay much attention and figured it would pass. He ate very little for dinner that night. The next day, he was worse. We waited and watched for improvement, but nothing changed. He still could eat very little by mouth, and his stomach was bloated. Saturday, we checked into the ER. They did a CAT scan, put a lot of abdominal fluids off his stomach, but found no blockage, though he thought he had an intestinal virus. We were prescribed some meds and went home. As a side note, Don has Parkinson's disease, so any meds are scrutinized. The days at home seemed like forever, and there was no change. No food, but Don's stomach was so bloated and looked as if his skin would explode. We went back to the gastroenterologist's office, who drained close to 2 gallons of fluid from his stomach this time and sent him back to the hospital. We knew this healing was bigger than Juice Plus. Diagnosis. After we were readmitted, Don had a colonoscopy prep from an IV since he literally could not take anything by mouth. The colonoscopy revealed his lower GI was good. The doctors deduced that he had a blockage in his small intestine and had a condition known as diverticulum. It's the most common congenital abnormality of the small intestine, typically creating problems early in life. His small intestine was almost totally blocked, and surgery was scheduled very quickly. Robotic exploratory surgery removed 8 to 10 inches of his small intestine. Now it was time for recovery. For about a month, Don's doctors searched for answers that would explain the symptoms of illness. During this time, Don could not eat any food drink by mouth. He lost 27 pounds. I Googled and read as much as I could that might help find a way to get Don nourished. I recently found a book called The Ultra Mind Solution by Dr. Mark Hyman, medical doctor. Dr. Hyman believes that the mind and the gut work in sync and confirms my belief in proper nourishment for healing. Dr. Hyman states that digesting, absorbing, and assimilating all the food and nutrients we eat is critical for health. I knew the hospital food was not the answer, as Don was limited to a hospital soft food diet with little nourishment benefit. Nothing was staying in his gut. There was no absorption or normal gut activity. He was prescribed a TPN. It's an acronym that towards the end of his stay, that basically is like a laboratory food in a bag designed for a short term, and it's mostly glucose. With the TPN, then he had to have insulin shots to reduce his sugar levels. His body was starving, and his weight loss was visually evident to the hospitalist who was supervising his care. I knew as the guardian of my own health and reading from Dr. Hyman that the body needed fiber to help stabilize blood sugar by slowing the absorption of carbohydrates to support a healthy digestive tract. I knew Juice Plus was back in business, as it's bioavailable, meaning it's absorbed into the blood, so it did not require digesting. I began bringing in my complete drinks to the hospital in hopes of bringing the gut back into balance. He drank my complete and gradually ate real food and was consequently discharged from the hospital when his gut showed some progress. After discharge, the real work then began when we were home. For days, even with the Juice Plus products, his body was not accepting food. He was very discouraged, and I was wondering if I was doing the right thing. However, on the 3rd day, with just complete and almond milk, his gut made a dramatic turn. His gut began behaving normally and emptying solid waste. We added back the Juice Plus capsules and continued to introduce all food groups in small portions. He was putting weight back on. The healing. Don and I went to visit his surgeon for a follow-up several weeks after his surgery. His doctor saw great improvements in the healing of his sutures and general health. We talked a little bit about his diet. When asked if there is something special we should be doing, he said, get protein in him. In a respectful way, I explained he was getting protein, whole food, and soluble and insoluble fiber when drinking complete, and explained the efficacy of the product. He was okay with that. We both agreed that eating fruits and vegetables was needed in his healing. He was told not to eat raw fruits and vegetables until he saw that the gut would be able to manage the coarseness of fiber. The doctor was encouraged that Don's gut was able to accept food as early as it did. The doctor noticed a little weight gain and he told us to keep on doing what we were doing. Shredding with Dr. Hyman 6-week program. This I found somewhat interesting in the book of Dr. Hyman. In reading his book further, he had a chapter called The Preparation Week that's intended to prepare the body and mind for goodness to come by shredding habits that interfere with the brain, the gut being the second brain. He speaks to eliminating items from the diet to make a transition into the program simple and painless. Curiously, his plan is much like our Juice Plus Shred 10 that Don and I mostly live by. It has become a way of life for us. We are not purists, but we have adopted a way of life that is intended to live by moderation in drinking alcohol, caffeine, sugars, avoiding processed foods, avoiding gluten and dairy. As a Parkinson's patient, diet is very important in managing neurological disease that is sensitive to toxins wherever they may reside. The healing chemicals in food are due to the anti-inflammatory, antioxidant, and detoxifying properties. There is no cure for Parkinson's disease, but there's always hope. Dr. Hyman explains diseases like PD can be effectively treated by altering dietary and lifestyle influences and repairing the body's systems. Today, Alan continues to improve. His weight gain is not as fast as he would like, but understands that weight gain and weight loss is meant to be gradual and that adding good weight will come in good time. Tomorrow. Don and I live by the day and hope for tomorrow that living a moderate life will lead us to our best chapter yet, retirement.